When you first get married, you love everything about one another, but eventually you begin to get on one another's nerves. Hi, my name is Connie Durham. I've been married 44 years, and back in 2004, I began to study how people communicate. And as I looked at that, I started to realize that so many couples get married and everything looks so great. They have certain expectations of their relationship. They look forward to kids and they look forward to great careers. But then everything comes crashing down. They don't understand why and they don't know what to do. Well, whenever you stop and you hit the pause button and you stop and you think about what's going on in your marriage and you try to figure out why you're acting the way you do or why your spouse is acting the way they do, if you start to pull it apart, there's hope. If you start to pull it apart, there's hope. Because it comes in understanding how we all communicate differently, how we all have different family backgrounds, and we have different values. And if we don't talk about those things when we first get married, or before we get married would be better, if we don't talk about those things, then they all come together and they start clashing. I mean, even when you look at politics these days, people are far right or far left. And there's no middle, and people can't even talk to one another. So it happens in our homes also. And I happen to believe that happy couples equal happier kids. Do you have kids? If you don't have kids, someday you'll probably have kids. And you know, we all want that happy family. We want to work together. We want to love one another. And sometimes people literally don't know how. So here are 3 areas. I want you to stop today and I want you to contemplate yourself. And then I want you to think about your spouse and answer these questions for yourself and for your spouse. And then sit down and have a conversation. The first one is, what are your family backgrounds? What are your family backgrounds? Were you raised by one parent or 2 parents? You know, if you're raised by one parent, that one parent is trying to work and feed you, take care of you, nurture you, and love you. But guess what? At the end of the day, they're out of energy. They're out of patience. And that's what you get, you know, whenever your parent is exhausted, right? We're all like that. We can be congenial. We can give a smile. We can put forth energy and love and that kind of thing. But when we're tired and we're exhausted, we change. We get sarcastic. We get angry. We get frustrated. We stop listening. And that's what happens sometimes when you have one parent. But what happens if you had 2 parents and they weren't getting along and there was a lot of fighting and fussing, or maybe they closed down and they didn't even talk to each other? Then you didn't get to have that example of what a good marriage looks like. And you know, all we know is what we see, what we experience. And so if we never experienced a great relationship with our parents, how are we supposed to know what to do now? So what is your family background and what is your spouse's family background? And you can't help that. But if you stop and look at it and pay attention, so whatever went on then doesn't go on now with you and your family, maybe you can make some changes. The second thing is we all have different value systems. Some people value tons of money. Some people value family and people. Some value power. Some value the opportunity to have fun. And some people just love challenges. Some people value God. Some people value the universe or whatever all's around. It's like we all need that something that raises our values, raises how we want to live, causes us to be honest, causes us to be more selfless and not selfish, right? So values come into play. That again is taught when you're a kid. So what did your spouse have when they were a kid? You know, were people loving and kind and expecting good things? Or when they entered the house, did they expect frustration and anger and yelling and screaming, or maybe no parents at home at all? Values. And the last thing is temperament. Some people have a temperament where they lose their temper very easily. If something else is bothering them, they lose their temper. And sometimes it's not about you. It's about something else that's going on. Then others are super patient. They rarely lose their temper. They're patient with everything, and they have to watch out or they're just simply walked on because they just allow their spouse to not treat them very nicely, and they're literally just walked on, and they kind of accept that. So there are all different temperaments. Now, I like to call these communication styles, and they're predictable, and you can learn what your communication style is, and you can learn what your spouse's communication style. And guess what? You can learn what your children's communication style is. When we learn to communicate with others the way they want to be communicated with, we can learn to get along better. We can build our relationships, and we can move forward in a more positive way. And who doesn't want that? I'm Connie, and on 11/2/2023, I have a podcast coming up. It is called The Extraordinary Marriage. And I hope that you will mark that date down, 11/2/2023. And you will opt in, like, follow that podcast, because I'll be sharing with my husband of 44 years. We'll be talking about our years being married. I have guest speakers where they'll be sharing their expertise and their own marriages, ups and downs, and also a little bit of business tips in that. And then once a month, I'll be sharing just like for 30 minutes myself on a particular topic that I think can help you. So we all want an extraordinary marriage. We all have ups and downs. No marriage is perfect, even if it looks like it on the outside. No marriage is perfect, because guess what? We aren't perfect as people, are we? But we can think, we can try, we can reach for the best life that we can have. And that's what I hope to give you in The Extraordinary Marriage. Please mark your calendars, and you can always email me or find me on social media. I'm Connie Durham. Thanks for listening.